Okay, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody is well. Happy Tuesday. We're living into the world of habits, into the world of action. I'm trying to really, I hope I'm doing an okay job at it, to be honest. To split the hair here, right? Because you gotta, you gotta split the hairs. Because if you don't, it's hard to move forward on one thing. You have to pull out a value and articulate it so you know what to do, what not to do. Not that I would know better than anybody else, but the idea of actions versus means. Sorry, it's actions versus results, right? Means versus ends. These are important differences because if you don't get them right, you end up trying to understand how come you keep on failing. And the reason is because you're so focused on the end that we haven't spent enough time in the means to be good at anything. It's a tremendous issue that you may be getting tired of hearing, but I'm also tired of hearing it. But it's still true. We're so busy getting somewhere that we stopped being anywhere. We're always getting to the end of something. You're always at the next step. That patience of, can I be great at what I'm doing? Super hard. Now, the reason why this is so important, this is sort of where faith really changes the thing. Really changes things. And I want to delve a little bit into the impact of faith on this. There's two things that are important in this area. I've learned them both from my rabbi. One is that when you're doing the right thing, that in itself is where you need to be. And when we start to assume that areas are more important than others, now they're true to some extent, but we get lost in the world of creating the wrong hierarchy on the things that we want to be doing and the things we want to be getting. For example, if a person has the ability to make an impact on lots of people and the ability to make an impact on one person, maybe his child or friend, you would think that where God wants you is with as many people as possible. Now, that would make sense if God was, a hedge fund manager and he's looking at leverage and he's thinking, I don't know, if I can invest in a deal that gives me a 10 times return, why would I do a 1 times return? Like, why would I look for an IRR of 8 if I can get an IRR of 40, right? So if you're managing money, you're always looking for the highest impact of your investment. So you'd think that. And so there's a lot of people that think that way and do things based on the size of their impact. Very wonderfully holy people that will say things like, yeah, but you could be more impactful here. Or if you do this, then you'll help more people here. Or these things are more important than those things. This happens everywhere. And this needs a little bit of spiritual mentorship. It's hard for us to do it alone because there's a lot of bias here, but this happens everywhere. These subjects are more important than those subjects. This career is more valuable than this career. The thing that will make you more money is more important than the thing that will make you less money, right? We are so good at trying to assign value to the things that we do so that what ends up happening is when we're doing the things that don't have a high value in our minds or in our society, we don't treat them with the same level of respect and dedication than we would for the other things. Now, if you have a choice of two things, use your time wisely. And if you're in business and you can choose between doing action that's going to make you X dollars and doing an action that's going to make you Y dollars and Y is more, if you're in business, go find the things that make you more money. And if you're doing the same thing anyways, go find a way to make it a higher impact. For sure. But if you go through life and when God sends us things to do, we start discounting the ones that we don't think have an impact. That's when we start to spend lots of our time doing things without any level of real depth or respect for the things that we're doing. So we're mediocre at conversations, and mediocre at parenting, and mediocre at relationships, and mediocre at things that we think don't have big impacts, or things that are not going to really help us, or mediocre at subjects that we already determined, even though we may be in elementary school, that we're not going to go into that. We've already made decisions all the time that this conversation and that night and that idea and going here and going there, it's not going to have an impact on my life, so let me be mediocre at it. That way of thinking. Now, if you're choosing, choose the highest impact. Choose the highest return on your investment. Choose the highest return on your time. If you've got two choices, go with the one that gives you the most. But if you're somewhere and you're looking at something and you're doing something and it gets a little hard and your brain says, nah, and calculates why it's not important to you, that's the moment where faith clicks in. Because if God brought you to something, He wants you to do it as best as you can. It doesn't mean that every time you do something, you have to kill yourself. And it doesn't mean that you have to go above and beyond for the things that don't really have a big impact for you. But what it means is that if God brought you to it, He wants to bring you through it. So it may be that the time you spend with your child is more valuable in God's eyes than the time you spend, doing something that more people see you doing. And it may be that the few minutes you have alone in prayer or in study or in contemplation is more valuable than when you're doing something that seems like it's doing more. And it may very well be that taking some time off has a higher chance of your financial success than always being on. If you live in a space that is results, you don't even see actions anymore. You don't even recognize that they exist. You don't even see the value in them because they're only there to get you to a result. I told you the story of my friend who was a partner at a big law firm. I don't tell stories more than once just for the heck of it. I do it because as we talk things through, it reminds me of stuff, and I see it in a different way. So hopefully that if you remember the story, you will as well. I have a friend of mine who is he's a senior partner at a big law firm. And he tells me all the time, he says, most people that come through the big law firms don't last. Most people that walk in the door in a big law firm, there's 100 people in a class. 1 makes partner, 2 makes partner, 3 makes partner/counsel, right? 4, 5, you don't get more than 5. So in a span of a decade, at most, there's 5% of the people that stay. 95% of the people that walk in the law firm leave. And he said to me something so fascinating. He said, what the problem is that as soon as it clicks in that they're leaving, they stop going all in. They stop really caring. But here's the problem, he says. It's brilliant. He says, they leave usually and they stay in the space. He's a real estate lawyer. So a lot of people leave and either they go into real estate or they go into other real estate companies as in-house, or they're around. They open up their own firms, but they're around real estate. They don't leave. Some leave law completely, but most of them don't leave law and real estate. So if you're 2-3 years into a big law firm and in real estate law, most likely you're either in law or you're in real estate. He says, but the problem is that when you see them 5 years later and now they're a general counsel, or now they're an owner-operator, or now they have their own law firm, and you talk to them, because you can see that even though they were leaving after 3 years or 4 years, had they gone all in for 4 years, now, 10 years later, they would have been much better for it. They missed out on some of those deals or experiences or late nights or complicated issues that, even though they were leaving, even though if they look down the result, in their head it says, you're leaving anyways. What are you killing yourself for this company for? What are you killing yourself for the firm? You're leaving. Had they just been all in on the actions that they were doing while they were here, they would have extracted so much from this ground that when they left, they would be better for the next decade. deeper, more thoughtful. 2 years of real work at a big firm could be 10 years of benefit outside. But what happens is that as soon as your head clicks, I'm out, as soon as you get to the result, it impacts the action. That's one of the real reasons why we get stopped so much. Because as we get into stick week, if you remember, as the action stops becoming new and the variety dips, and now we're in the boring time where our brain starts to fill in all those pieces. In the beginning, our brain's like, this is cool, this is new. I'm interested in this, or I'm inspired to do this, and now you're doing it. And then your brain starts to get really good at it. But once your brain starts to become good at something, right now it's filling in the gaps of the neural connections. It's not creating new ones, so it's boring. Once you're in the boring phase, and you don't want to do it anyways, your brain goes, wait, what are we doing this for? And then your brain goes, oh, you see? Look 3 years from now. You're not even going to be doing this. You ever have this with yourself or your children? Why do I need math for? I'm not going to be an accountant. You're like, that's it. That's the only math is used for? That's it. The reason why you don't want to learn how to do division is because you're already calculating that's it? There's nothing else that you need math for. And then most parents are like, well, how about, checking the scores in football? And the kid's like, oh, okay, I hear that. That's it. It's hard to do my 6th grade homework is hard. I'm projecting myself for the next, 90 years and saying, what do I need to figure out how to do math? I only know of 3 jobs and I'm not going to do the math job. So I guess I have no need for math. And you, as a parent, you're like, what? That just do math. Just got it. Right? But by the way, adults do that all the time. All the time. Why I got to do this for? I'm not gonna. Right? Wait, I'll end with this. Sometimes, like I said, we take, guys to Israel. And sometimes there's really powerful experiences. And some of them are a little uncomfortable. And some guys enjoy them, even for a moment. They may never do it ever again. That may not be their context, but they're in Israel. So they do it. There's always one guy that's like, well, I can't do this for the rest of my life. He's already planning out the next 30 years. I'm like, whoa, bro. What 30 years? Looking at the result. Here's what happens if you're too results oriented. It becomes an excuse when the going gets tough as to why to give up. All right, we'll talk about this. All right, everybody, have a great day. And with God's help, I can't wait to see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.
Living on a lifeline. The world doesn't ever seem to change. Looking for the sunshine, but you're caught up in the rain. It's like your eyes are wide open, but you cannot see. You're watching life pass you by like 1, 2, 3. Walking in destruction. The winds of life blur your vision. All the devastation. Forever feels like you're on the run. It's time. No one else can set you free. You're locked inside, and only you have got the key.